You did everything right. You prayed together. You honored God. You chose love when it was hard. You stayed when others walked away. And yet, your marriage is under attack. The tension came out of nowhere. The distance feels unfamiliar. The arguments don't even make sense anymore. It feels like something is working against you, not just between you. And you're asking the question that many are afraid to say out loud. Why would God allow this? Why would God allow a good marriage, a faithful marriage, a praying marriage, to go through this kind of battle? Stay with me, because the answer is not what you expect. And once you understand it, everything will change. You see, not every attack means something is wrong. Sometimes, the attack means something is right. Sometimes the pressure you feel is not proof of failure. It is proof of value. Because the enemy does not waste time on what is already broken. He targets what is working. He targets what reflects God. And your marriage, when it is built on love, sacrifice, forgiveness, and faith, becomes a living picture of God's covenant. That is dangerous. That is powerful. That is something worth fighting against. So when the attacks come, it is not always because you are weak. It is often because you are strong. Let that sink in. You are not under attack because your marriage is failing. You are under attack because your marriage matters. And here is the shocking truth most people never realize. God allows the attack, but He never abandons you in it. There is a difference. God is not the author of confusion. He is not planting division in your home. He is not whispering bitterness into your heart. But He will allow pressure, because pressure reveals what comfort hides. Pressure exposes cracks you didn't know were there. Pressure forces conversations you kept avoiding. Pressure brings hidden wounds to the surface. And yes, it hurts. But healing often starts with exposure. You cannot fix what you refuse to face. So sometimes God allows the shaking, not to destroy your marriage, but to reveal what needs to be strengthened. Think about that. What if this season is not the end, but the uncovering? What if this tension is not punishment, but preparation? Because every strong marriage you admire, every couple that inspires you, has walked through fire. Not around it, through it. And what made them strong was not the absence of attack, but their response to it. Now listen carefully. The greatest danger is not the attack itself. It is how you interpret it. Because if you believe the lie that your spouse is the enemy, you will fight the wrong battle. And when you fight the wrong battle, you lose even when you think you're winning. You win the argument, but lose connection. You prove your point, but damage trust. You protect your pride, but weaken your unity. That is how marriages slowly fall apart. Not from one big explosion, but from small, repeated misdirection. You start seeing your partner as the problem, instead of recognizing the real enemy behind the scenes. And once that happens, distance grows. Silence becomes louder. Resentment becomes normal. Love becomes conditional. But hear this clearly. Your spouse is not your enemy. You are on the same team, even when it doesn't feel like it. Even when emotions are high. Even when words have been said that cannot be taken back. Even when you feel misunderstood. You are still fighting for the same thing. A marriage that honors God. A love that lasts. A home filled with peace. So why would God allow this kind of battle? Because there are things He wants to build in you that comfort can never produce. Patience that only grows when you are tested. Forgiveness that only becomes real when you are hurt. Humility that only develops when you choose to lower yourself instead of defending yourself. These are not easy lessons. But they are necessary. Because marriage is not just about happiness. It is about transformation. It is about becoming more like Christ, together. And Christ was not formed in comfort. He was formed through sacrifice. Through pressure. Through surrender. So when your marriage goes through seasons of strain, it is not outside of God's plan. It may actually be part of His process. Now that does not mean you accept dysfunction. It does not mean you tolerate abuse or neglect. It means you seek God in the middle of the storm, not just when the storm passes. Because too many people wait for things to feel better before they turn to God. But God is not just present in peace. He is present in chaos. He is present in confusion. He is present in the silence between you and your spouse when you don't know what to say anymore. And sometimes, the very place you want to escape, is the place where God wants to meet you. Let me tell you something that might challenge you. Your marriage is not just about you. It never was. It is bigger than your feelings. Bigger than your expectations. Bigger than your comfort. Your marriage is a testimony. It is a message. It is a reflection of something eternal. And when that reflection is clear, it impacts people you may never even know. Your children, your friends, your community, even strangers who watch how you love each other. So when the enemy attacks your marriage, it is not just about breaking you. It is about silencing what your marriage represents. That is why the attacks feel so intense. That is why the conflict sometimes feels deeper than it should. Because there is more at stake than you realize. But here is the hope. God never allows a battle without providing a way through it. Never. He gives you wisdom when you ask. He softens hearts when you surrender. He restores what looks broken beyond repair. But restoration requires something from you. It requires surrender, not just to your spouse, but to God. Because as long as you are trying to win, you will keep losing. But when you choose to surrender, something shifts. You start listening instead of defending. You start understanding instead of assuming. You start loving instead of keeping score. And slowly, the walls begin to come down. Not all at once, but piece by piece, word by word, moment by moment. And yes, it takes time. Healing is not instant. Trust is not rebuilt overnight. But every small step matters. Every kind word matters. Every moment of patience matters. Every prayer matters, even when it feels like nothing is changing. Because change is often happening beneath the surface, before you see it on the outside. So don't give up too soon. Don't walk away in the middle of the process. Because what looks like the breaking point, might actually be the turning point. And this is something many people miss. Strong marriages are not strong because they avoid conflict. They are strong because they learn how to go through it, without losing each other. They learn how to fight for each other, not against each other. They learn how to choose love, even when it is not easy. And that choice, repeated over time, becomes the foundation of something unshakable. So if your marriage is under attack right now, take a breath. You are not alone. You are not crazy. And you are not beyond hope. This season does not define your story. It is just a chapter. And chapters can change. But you have to decide something. You have to decide that your marriage is worth fighting for. Not fighting in, but fighting for. Fighting for peace. Fighting for unity. Fighting for understanding. And most importantly, fighting in the right direction. Because when you align with God, everything else begins to realign. Not perfectly, but progressively. So what do you do now? You go back to the basics. You pray, even when you don't feel like it. You speak life, even when negativity feels easier. You forgive, even when the hurt is still fresh. Not because your spouse deserves it, but because you are choosing to reflect something greater than your emotions. And slowly, something begins to shift. The atmosphere changes, the tension softens, the distance begins to close. And one day, you will look back at this season, and you will realize something powerful. The attack that was meant to destroy your marriage actually strengthened it. The pressure that felt unbearable built a deeper connection. The pain that almost broke you taught you how to truly love. That is the redemption of God. He does not waste pain. He transforms it. So don't be surprised by the attack. Be prepared for it. Stand firm in the middle of it. And trust that God is working, even when you cannot see it. Because your marriage, when surrendered to Him, is not fragile. It is being forged, refined, strengthened, and what comes out on the other side will not just survive, it will stand, stronger, deeper, unshakable. So keep going, even when it is hard, even when it is messy, even when it feels like nothing is changing. Because something is happening, and one day, you will thank God that He did not remove the battle, but used it to build a marriage that could not be easily broken.